How's it going, everybody? This is Seer here, and we have a very special video for you guys today. Today, we're going to be discussing the Orchis Raids, which will be coming out here in a few hours, unless you're watching this from the future. In that case, hello, future you. How you doing? So these raids are going to be the next progression system over those incursion raids. That means that your teams should already be built up to level 100, G18, and possibly diamonds and G19 characters. For the playtest server, things definitely could change when they go live, so please remember that as we're watching this video. The characters we'll be using today are going to be level 100, G18, 7 red stars. So please remember that your characters could be more powerful than what we're using today. Now let's discuss the elephant in the room, that is the mystic and tech sections. Those are incredibly rough, and I really don't see a way for people to do that daily on difficulty 3 unless you're going to be in a Kraken alliance spending power cores daily, because it is very rough. So when we get to those sections, we're going to discuss what the new teams possibly could bring to help counter those sections. Also, for the boss node, there's going to be an additional hit where it's going to have the difficulty 1. So you can really see the power level difference between difficulty 1 and difficulty 3, and you can kind of determine what difficulty 2 will be as well. The difficulty 0 really isn't too rough, so I think everybody can get through that part just fine. Because this video is going to be so long, there's going to be the timestamps in the description below, so make sure you check those out if you're looking for particular teams and sections of the map. Now, if you do end up liking this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the video, and until next time, have a wonderful rest of the day as always.
Now before we step foot into these raids, I want to show off what the artwork looks like for the raid itself. I really appreciate what they did here. They have the mother mold, and then you have the sun, and the sun is pulsating, so it looks like at any moment that mother mold is going to be projected into the sun. It's actually really cool artwork. Now as far as Node 1 goes, the enemies that we're going to be facing are going to be the Nowhere team, the Darkhold team, and the Bionic Avengers. Now it's been a while, but those Bionic Avenger characters do have a lot of raid buffs on them, especially Deathlock as far as the damage output that he can bring. Now I know a lot of people had questions about the mutant section. Do we have to use Cyclops, or can we actually bring in Old Man Logan? So I want you to know that I'm going to be doing 2 hits per node for the mutant section. I'm going in first with the Cyclops version, then I'm going to back out when there's not a lot of enemies left. It looks like I'm going to clear it. Then I'm going to go back in with Old Man Logan. So the first hit here, we do see Cyclops on the team. Now as far as pros and cons, Cyclops does bring the focus boost to the Extreme X-Men team, so that is going to help you land those negative effects. Also, if you ever lose anybody, Cyclops is there basically to speed up Forge, so that way you can try to bring somebody back or pull off an ability for him. The thing is, though, you don't really lose a lot of characters in these raids for the Extreme X-Men team. As far as Old Man Logan, he brings a lot of control with his special and his ultimate. He does a lot of damage, so we're really going to see a drastic difference between the two characters. So as you see, I did end up backing out. Now we're in with Old Man Logan. Nightcrawler was still able to land that stun on Morgan Le Fay, and the assists are coming in with Old Man Logan as well, so we are peppering the team with those negative effects and the bleeds. We're even able to use Old Man Logan's ultimate, which is going to throw trauma on the entire team and more bleeds. So the damage output is definitely there. We're not really having too much of a focus issue. There's a few times where I do see the resist pop up, but it really doesn't matter just because we're able to take those charges off of Nova, and Old Man Logan is just tearing through everybody. So I'm going to let this play out, and I'll be back when we get to Node 2. So Node 1 is finished, and you gotta see a pretty good difference between Cyclops and Old Man Logan. Now what about for Node 2? Well, the enemy list shows Hive Mind characters, Mercs for Money characters, and Pandapool and Dakin. There's also the Cabal team with Quicksilver and Black Cat. So there's a lot of control that we're going to be needing for this node. We're going to start by using Cyclops first, And then we're going to switch over to Old Man Logan again, so that way you can see the difference. Now Node 2 is fairly tough as far as all the control that we need to do. We start by putting a stun on the Quicksilver, we land an ability block on the Iron Patriot, but then you have to be wary not to push the Quicksilver, just like what happened here. So we did end up losing Forge and Cyclops, so we're backing out, and we're going back in. We start doing the same thing, we put the stun on the Quicksilver, we put the ability block on the Iron Patriot. However, this time we're trying to avoid the AoE damage that the Extreme X-Men have. That is going to kind of set us back a little bit, because we don't want to push that Quicksilver. Now Quicksilver did end up getting his turn, so Cyclops uses the ultimate, and here we're able to start working down the Quicksilver. The thing with this attack here is that the Red Goblin is going to end up using his ultimate. He starts bringing back the Hive Mind characters, and there the leader ended up using the special on Forge and killed him. So we're going to back out, try a third time. We can't lose 3 times in a row, right? I mean, this is the Extreme X-Men with Cyclops. Well, the same thing's going to happen. We end up using the stun, the ability block. The issue with this node is there's so many different targets that we need to control that Cyclops really doesn't bring anything to the table for that. So Old Man Logan is the clear winner for Node 2 as far as the 5th member. So we're going to let this play out, and then we're going to see how Old Man Logan plays differently into this attack. And now Old Man Logan has entered the arena, so we will be starting the same way. We're going to put the stun on the Quicksilver, the ability block on the Iron Patriot. We're also going to throw another ability block on the Red Goblin. Old Man Logan doesn't have a special ready, so we're going to start by using the ultimate, so you see all of the bleeds on the other side of the field already. And we're already down to 10 characters left because one did get brought back to life due to Red Goblin. The team with Cyclops, we were only going to get down to about 8 characters left before we wiped, and this team is already decimating Node 2. So let's go ahead, check out the boss node, and see how that's actually going to differ there as well. Now we're going to be working on the boss node. Now for this node, we're going to do what we did previously. We're going to start by using Cyclops. When we get near the end, we'll exit out, and then we'll see how Old Man Logan does in here. Once we're finished with this section, we'll have a better verdict as far as is it worth building Cyclops or just work on Old Man Logan. Personally, I think Old Man Logan's going to be the better option, and use Cyclops more as a luxury pick. Now as far as enemies on this node, we do have some Pegasus members, we have some Undying members, and we have some Unlimited X-Men members, so it's nothing too crazy. The nice thing about the Extreme X-Men is how they're able to ignore those taunts to where the enemies can't get them, so you're free to kind of mark who you want. There's nothing crazy on here as far as you need to control these characters, just like we did back in Node 2. So right off the bat, we're able to use Nightcrawler's special on Rogue, and we were able to land the stun on there. You're going to notice that is because we have Cyclops with us for that extra focus boost. Nightcrawler's able to use the ultimate, and we are basically hammering down this wave fairly easy. The Cyclops ultimate just deleted the entire wave as well because of the charges that he had on him. So as you see, Cyclops on this node is pretty good. Cyclops on the first node was fairly well. It was kind of evened up with Old Man Logan and Cyclops. For Node 2, the clear winner was Old Man Logan. So we're going to go ahead, finish this wave off, and when it gets near the end, I'm going to back out, and then I'll bring Old Man Logan so we can see how he looks in here. So when it came to Cyclops, we were able to finish this node in about 3 minutes. Let's take a look to see how long it takes for Old Man Logan to actually do this. And right off the bat, you were able to see the difference. Nightcrawler was not able to land that stun on Rogue. However, it really doesn't matter because we are able to do so much damage. The damage output when we add Old Man Logan in here is ridiculous. Cyclops is just good for that one burst hit once you get those charges and that focus. But when you have Old Man Logan with you, you really don't need that focus, as you notice. We're about 2 minutes in, and the node is pretty much over. So overall, I would say build your Old Man Logan, use him for this raid. If you want to use Cyclops, just use him for Cosmic Crucible, use him for War if you want. But now we're going to go ahead and go into the next section, which is going to be the Mystic section. This section is very rough, so we are waiting for that Nightstalkers team. As far as enemies that we'll be facing in here, we have the Bifrost team, we have the Nowhere team, we have Captain Britain, and we have some A-Force members. Remember, A-Force does have raid bonuses as well, so they're throwing quite a bit of things at us here. So when it comes to the Mystic section, it really is all about control. Unfortunately, because there's this Sasquatch in his raids, he does spawn in with the Safeguard and the Taunt, so you're not even able to get off of him fast enough to where you can start getting onto the Nova. The big issue with this node is the fact that you can't get to Nova, so he is going to be getting his Nova Force off, which means you basically have to kill everybody twice. So here I was able to use Vol's ultimate, and that was able to basically clear most of the first wave, get into the second wave. But the Nova Force is on the board, and now the A-Force character's in. So we have a Guardian, and we also have the North Star. So I was trying to do my best to control the North Star because I don't want him using the ultimate on us. However, the damage output starts to lack to where I can't kill him fast enough. And as you see, he was able to use the ultimate on us. The Beta Ray Bill was able to use the ultimate as well to try to flip some of those effects. However, we're not able to sustain what's going on here. So we are going to be wiping. We're going to go back in with the next hit now. Attack number 2 does actually go better for us because we're not stuck behind the taunt. The Nova already burned his ultimate, so we don't have to worry about the Nova Force. And the North Star also burned his ultimate. So this is where teamwork is going to be coming in play for the alliances, to where you are going to be doing the pile-in method. So one person should be able to clear about half of this node, if not all of it, on difficulty 1, maybe difficulty 2. But for difficulty 3, the one-shot is going to be fairly tough. Now, I did try using other methods when I was doing the difficulty 1, which you won't see here for the node 1 and 2. I did actually drop Loki and I threw in Dorm, just because if I end up wiping, I'd have that chance to revive, and then Vol would also have another chance to bring everybody back. That worked fairly well. I know that you might be able to use, say, Ultimus because of the Sasquatch, so there are different options where you might be able to substitute. Let's go ahead and check out node number 2 though. So for node 2, this node is the bane of my existence. So we are going to have Web Warriors, we're going to have the Cabal team, we're going to have Peter B. Parker, and we're also going to have the Annihilators. So you're going to be stuck behind the Gladiator, and you're also going to be forced into hitting the Thanos endgame, causing him to proc off his passive. He will have a chance to wipe your entire team, so please be warned about that. Let's go ahead and get into this node now. So as you see, as far as the placement goes, Gladiator is dead center of this node, and right behind him and adjacent to him is the Thanos endgame. You really want to be careful and mindful as far as what kind of splash damage you're going to be doing, because if you do knock him below that 50% health, he basically will get the passive off and he will wipe your entire team, unless he has offense down and you have defense up. That did tend to come into play to where I was able to survive his ultimate. Now this was something interesting as well that I think the Nightstalkers team will be having. The Thanos endgame ended up using his ultimate, but because we had the evades on us, we were able to dodge that. And right there, you saw what happened. Beta Ray Bill used his ultimate that dropped Thanos below 50% health. His passive went off and just wiped our entire team, and he healed back up to full health. So now we're going to be stuck into this loop. This happened to me the first time I was testing this out, to where no matter what happened, I was stuck on the Thanos loop for about 6 or 7 refreshes. This felt worse than Dark Dimension 3. So I'm really hoping when this goes into the live server They are going to basically adjust his damage output to where that's not going to wipe your entire team like that, because I don't know how the Nightstalkers team can get through that. So right here you saw another thing that happened. Thanos endgame ended up having his passive proc and we survived it. When that happens and you have that window, go all in on the Thanos endgame. I don't care who else is on the board, you need to take him down. Otherwise, if you wipe, you're going to go into that passive again and again. So if you are able to survive that, your one goal is to take him out before you wipe. Or at least keep him under 50% health, so that way when the next person goes in, you have a chance to actually kill him. This was something else that I ended up running across throughout the playtest. The Spider Society team in raids is ridiculous, and this is not the only time you're going to be facing the Spider Society team. The healing output that the Peter Parker has, and the lack of heal blocks that the Bifrost team has, really makes it seem like the Nightstalkers team will be having a heal block on them as well. So as you see, it took me about 1 minute 20 seconds to kill that Peter Parker, but we were able to clear that. So now we are going into the boss node. So for the boss node, we do have a Void Knight, we have a Lizard, we have the full Annihilators, 3-piece, we have Cosmic Ghost Rider, we have Starbrand, Sunspot, we have Green Goblin Classic, Nightcrawler, Red Goblin, another Lizard. So there's some crazy characters on here, and it's more about the opening wave for what this team can do. The first hit when you go in here is basically going to be a burn attack, and you're going to see why. So now that the burn attack is done, we need to try to get off that gladiator as fast as possible. We also need to be mindful not to end up pushing the Thanos endgame. We did end up using Vol's ultimate right there just to do a nice chunk of damage to everybody. And as you see, that actually did help us to where we can actually take down certain characters already too. So the first wave is done, and the following wave did end up coming down at about 3 characters being killed off. The Green Goblin Classic does come down along with the Nightcrawler, so those are some pretty high value targets. So right now the Green Goblin Classic is pretty close to death, and we were able to do some pretty good damage to the Gore and several other characters. We're going to end up wiping, and we're going to have to go in with a third hit now. Now this is something that you're going to want to be mindful of when you leave the node for your alliance mate. We left Thanos endgame a little over 50% health. Beta Ray Bill ends up doing his ultimate, and that triggers Thanos' passive, and then Gore ends up doing his ultimate, and we basically wiped. So that was a wasted attack, so please be mindful of this for your alliance mates. Now unfortunately this hit here is also going to count more as a burn attack or a sack hit. We basically loaded in, we got pulled together, and there's really nothing we can do. The enemy team just does all the AoE damage, we accidentally trigger Thanos' passive again, and we end up wiping. So you are already seeing the impact that Thanos endgame has on node 2 and the boss node. Definitely be careful of it, and honestly the best way to really try to deal with him is get him close to that 50% health like you see here, and then if you're able to survive it somehow, such as we just did, then you can kind of go all in on him. The alternative is get him close to that 50% health and use Vol's ultimate and just hope that you can actually get the kill on him through that ultimate. Now that you saw difficulty 3, we're going to be doing difficulty 1. And I actually dropped Loki for Deathpool in here. The main reason for that is for that turn meter. This is able to give the Bifrost the extra kick right off the jump to get ahead of the opponent. Fall was able to use the ultimate on turn 1 as well, and we already do have 5 characters killed off. We were able to trigger Thanos' passive, and he's still under 50% health. So we are already in a better position. So I do think on the boss node, it might be better to maybe sub in Deathpool. That's going to get you the extra turn meter for the Bifrost team, as you see. And when you start getting kills, you're going to start getting those Deathpool pings as well. And considering she just got that rework for the Mercs for Money team, it doesn't seem like a terrible investment. It seems like a better investment than you would in actually building up your Loki. So just a little bit food for thought, but we were able to make quick work of the difficulty 1, as you see. Next up is going to be the skills section, and this was actually pretty easy for me. So we have 2 of the Horsemen, we have some of the Gamma members, we have Superior 6, and we have a Nemesis. Now please remember that these characters are level 100, G18, 7 red stars. Now, myself personally, all of mine are level 100. I have some at G19, some at G18. I have 2 diamonds minimum on this full team. I have a couple at 3 diamond. So my team is going to be able to walk over this, as you see that this team already is at the 7 red stars. So depending on your gear and diamonds, you probably aren't going to struggle on the first node for the Spider Society team. So as you saw, the Node 1 actually wasn't too terrible for us. Node 2, I can see a world where that is going to actually cause some issues because of the characters that we're going to be dealing with. There's going to be some extreme X-Men characters. We have a Colossus with Magic who has synergy together. We also have Pegasus members. And if we scroll down further, you're going to see that there's going to be more Pegasus. There's another Colossus and Phoenix. And there's a key member that you see on here, which is Northstar. He's in pretty much every single section. So for a pop quiz, try to think of what team is going to struggle if they ever go against a Northstar. So the key to Node 2 is actually going to be trying to take out the Forge before he takes his ultimate. Because if he gets an ultimate off, that's going to put the safeguard on the entire team, and that really is going to cause issues with your Spider Society. So we were able to take out the Forge fairly easy. Now we can kind of worry about the Nightcrawler, however he was able to bleed out for us. The synergy between the 2 Colossus and the Phoenix, that is something kind of need to worry about. However, because of those taunts, you're not able to really get to the Northstar, so he does end up using an ult right there. If you have the timing off to where you don't have your safeguards on, and he does that ultimate, that could actually cause issues for your team. So overall, as far as Node 1 and 2 goes, there really isn't too much to worry about for the Spider Society team. If anything, it's that Node 2. Let's go ahead and check out the boss node. So we're going to have some Darkhold characters. We do have some Bifrost. We also have an Apocalypse and a Nemesis in here. Added in the Hive Mind at the end is also pretty interesting. The big thing though is going to be the Apocalypse. Now he is not empowered, So that means that he's just going to be starting with the special as opposed to the ultimate. That does give you time to where you can kind of work down some of the other characters. And a trick that I ended up doing on this was actually leaving the Apocalypse pretty much at full health. I'm going to work down the other characters, so when he does that special, he actually is going to lower his own health pool off, which you're going to see here in a little bit. So right there, the Apocalypse used the special, and it basically took off half of his health, and the counterattacks came in and knocked him fairly low as well. So that is a little trick that you can do if you want. Once you get through that first wave, the second wave isn't too bad. Try to work down the Red Goblin and the Vol, because you don't want Vol to be able to get to their ultimate to where they're going to start reviving the entire team after you wipe them all out. And we are finally in the tech section, which is the other terrible section that we have to deal with. Now, luckily, we won't have to deal with this for too long, because it does look like the Orchis team will be coming out next. Now, as far as the pop quiz that I gave you, if your answer was the Pegasus team, you are correct. The Cabal team is going to be on here that you see the leader. You're going to see some Superior 6 members, and there's also a Black Cat and a North Star. The North Star will be on the opening wave. So as you see, when we load in, the North Star uses the ultimate, flips all of our positive effects into negative effects. The Lizard comes in as well. Rescue's going to end up using the ultimate, so we can flip those back. And then the Iron Patriot's going to end up using his special and flips them again. This opening wave is terrible, and you basically need to go in and do a burn attack. You want to try to make sure that you pull those abilities, otherwise you're just burning power cores for no reason. As you see, this took about a minute and a half. We burned quite a bit of abilities, but now we can actually go in and do our actual hit now. So because of the positioning, and we don't really have to worry about the Lizard taunting yet, we're able to kind of go more towards the North Star. We're able to kill him off. Rescue, we do end up using the ultimate so we can get the buffs and the speed up and everything. And right here you see that Leader and Iron Patriot already killed our Kestrel. That was pretty unfortunate for us, and once you kill 2 characters, Green Goblin Classic will come down. Now the thing about him is anytime he retaliates, he's going to be flipping your buffs. Iron Patriot ends up doing this special again, and Rescue is able to bring back Kestrel. Now something that you're able to notice about this team is there's no safeguard. We need a team that's going to have safeguard, that way North Star can't flip the buffs. The Green Goblin Classic pings are able to flip those buffs as well when he retaliates. Based on that information, I would be shocked if the Orchis team does not have safeguard on spawn and also on the abilities, and I'm guessing they're probably going to be a fairly fast team to kind of get ahead of the team that we're facing right now. The Pegasus team is just so slow, as you see, and every single character that's on the board is able to strip those buffs one way or another. Because most of the threats are off the board already, we're able to really knock out that Green Goblin Classic. We're able to take out those Cabal members, and now the Pegasus team can kind of get their cleanup. So this did end up taking 3 attacks for the first node, 1 burn attack, and then 2 subsequent attacks. So it's not terrible in the grand scheme of things, because you will be doing a pile in on this anyways. Let's go ahead and get over to node 2 next. So node 1 was all about flipping your positive effects into negative effects and stripping the buffs that you have off of you, basically leaving me to believe that Orchis is going to have Safeguard on spawn and also the abilities that they're going to be having. Node 2 is going to have that as well because there will be that North Star, but there's also going to be the Sasquatch, there's going to be the pre-taunt with Safeguard, but the other interesting thing is there's going to be 3 Kitty Prides and there's going to be a Spider Weaver, so there's going to be those charges. There's actually 2 Spider Weavers on this node, correction. That basically tells me that the Orchis team is also going to have unavoidable attacks. That way you can get through those evades and the charges that the Spider Weaver is going to have on them. Now, as far as the attacks that we do on Node 2, this is actually a little bit frustrating because we are going to be stuck with those evades that Kitty Pride's going to be dishing out. Northstar is going to be using that ultimate right off the bat, so all of our buffs are flipped into negative effects, and you're really stuck on that Sasquatch. And once you get through the Sasquatch, by that time Colossus is going to have a taunt, so you're not even able to take out the targets that you want. So you really see me struggling here for about 2 minutes. I was able to get 1 kill at this point, but I really felt like I was making no progress on this node. Now that we're into attack number 2, the Northstar, since he already did burn his ultimate on the previous attack, we're able to go in and actually keep some of our buffs. Rescue's able to use that ultimate so that way we can get more buffs on our team, and now we can really get going. We were able to kill 3 characters already, so now we're down to 11 out of 15 characters. We unfortunately did lose our Ironheart Mark II right there, but the thing about this attack right now is we had so many targets that we had to try to go after, like the Spider Weaver. We don't want her to get the charges on herself because Pegasus doesn't have a lot of unavoidable attacks. Northstar was able to get another ult off, and the Nightcrawler being able to give speed up to the team and using the ultimate to clear all of her buffs, we kind of got put in that same situation. Now for this attack here, Spider Weaver ended up using the ultimate, so now we are basically stuck to where we have to pick and choose what abilities we want to use, so that way we're not feeding more ability energy to the Spider Weaver and actually burning abilities to where we're not even able to hit the targets that we want. We're pretty limited as far as characters that we have for the Pegasus team that have those unavoidable attacks. So now we are on the boss node. So currently from what we experienced for node 1 is we had to use a burn attack to get rid of all those opening abilities. It kind of felt that way for the second attack, and it's going to feel that way for this attack. There's another North Star on the opening wave with another Sasquatch. There's also going to be that Hank Pym, some Secret Defender members, and there's also that Apocalypse. Now the Spider Society on this team is very frustrating because the Pegasus team, they're not able to outdamage the sustain that the Spider Society team has. Now, our Pegasus team should be bigger because we're going to have those diamonds, and Kestrel is most likely going to be G19 for us. So they may have a hope to where they can outdamage some of the Spider Society. but the healing that Peter B. Parker gives on every single turn is pretty crazy, and it can get down to where there's a Peter B. Parker and a Penny on the field, and you're basically spending 5 minutes trying to take him out. That did happen to me on the test server when I was giving this a go. Now, as far as the opening hit that you're seeing right here, I was actually pretty surprised. I was able to take out 3 characters before I ended up wiping. Again, the Apocalypse on this node is not empowered. He is going to be starting with that special as opposed to the ultimate. The main reason I was kind of ignoring him is I wanted to try to take out as many characters as I could, and I didn't want to speed up the Apocalypse or have it to where I basically waste an attack trying to take him out myself, and then he's going to Falcon Punch me, and I basically wasted attack. I would have rather take out about 3 to 5 characters and then wipe, and then I can go in after Apocalypse's abilities are burned so that way I can actually take him out. So right now there are 5 out of 12 characters left. There are 3 of the Spider Societies left in Peter, Penny, and Pav. There's that Captain Britain and the Apocalypse. So we did get through a good chunk of it on that second hit. Now for the third hit, you're going to kind of experience the frustration that could actually happen because of having those Spider Society members on the field. Right now we have those Spider Society members, we have Captain Britain and Apocalypse. However, the damage output that the Pegasus team has right now isn't that great compared to the sustain like I mentioned previously. We've already lost 2 of our members. Rescue was able to bring back Darkhawk, and we were able to kill Captain Britain. However, the damage output that's coming at us is pretty substantial. Even though we got rid of the Captain Britain, we don't really want to go for the Spider Society members just because they're going to heal it back up. So we're basically forced to go into the Apocalypse and try to do as much damage as we can. So one of the moves I ended up doing here was actually just quitting and keeping the progress when we got Apocalypse low enough. Then we were able to go in, finish him off, and now we're going to try to take out those Spider Society members. We were able to take out Penny. Now we're going to try to focus down the Pav, and then the Peter. Because that Peter is able to do all that healing, the Pegasus team really doesn't have anything that's able to get heal block on them. So we're basically forced to deal with the healing, and you're going to see how long this attack is going to end up taking. Now that you have experienced difficulty 3, we're going to go ahead and take a look at difficulty 1. Now, as you see, this is feeling a lot better right off the bat. We already have 2 kills, and we're able to kind of munch through them fairly well. Now, the big question is going to be, should you take your characters up to that G18 level 100 if they're not there already? I personally think you should, because it's still going to be about a month and a half, 2 months away before you're going to have the full Orchis team. That's going to be about 1.5 to 2 months of frustration and your alliance basically missing out on certain rewards. So definitely give a discussion in your alliance if you are required to kind of get them to that extra levels. They should already be at G18 level 95 minimum due to the incursion raids. So add in those extra 5 levels on, say, about 4 of the characters, because I believe Castro should already be level 100 for you. With the gold income that we've been getting, especially for the war side of things, I think it's definitely worth it. At least that's what we're doing in our alliance. Now that the worst part of the raid is behind us with the tech section in our rearview mirror, we're moving into the bio section. Now the bio section, we're going to be using the full hive mind team. I did test out Gore in here and I just felt that he was fairly slow. I'd rather have Venom in here to where you're able to use the ultimate and clear some negative effects and spread those negative effects as well. As far as the enemies that we're going to be seeing today, we have some Superior 6 Sinister 6 members. We have the New Warriors in Cloak and Dagger. There's a Gwenpool also. And there's also Pegasus members on here with Kestrel, Darkhawk, Ironheart Mark II, and Iron Man Infinity War. Now, people's hive mind teams have been built very big for quite some time. You're also going to have those diamonds, and some people did take them into Dark Dimension and planning to take them into Dark Dimension 8, even though you don't need that purple ISO in here. So you should be able to kind of walk through this. The damage output that you're able to start off in flipping these positive effects into negative effects and just using that Red Goblin ultimate to really eliminate the waves, you start steamrolling and you really don't slow down on this first node. So as you see, Node 1 really was the walk in the park. You basically start getting those characters into the yellow and red, and then you just start really steamrolling. Node 2 is actually fairly tougher and does require certain targeting. There's going to be the Bifrost characters on here, where you see the Vol, Beta Ray Bill, and there's going to be Teen Lokis. There's also going to be the Sylvies and the Invaders. The Invaders really aren't the issue. The main issue of Node 2 is if Beta Ray Bill ends up getting his ultimate off, he will flip all your positive effects into negative effects, and it's basically a wipe once that happens. So Beta Ray Bill is going to be your primary target. You need to try to take him down, but you also need to try to be careful with the Teen Loki to where he's not going to clear any of those negative effects off of the Beta Ray Bill. So once you get the stun on the Teen Loki, just go back over to the Beta Ray Bill, focus him down, and once he's killed, the node really is a cakewalk after that. Now the thing about the bio section is each node basically ramps up. The first node was nothing. The second node really determined on the Beta Ray Bill. The boss node, I'm really curious how they're going to end up doing this. My initial playthrough on this was the Black Knight that's going to be on here. Yes, there is a Black Knight. He one-shot every single character until it became Gwenum's turn and I had to get this done on him. And then it was basically Venom and Gwenum versus the entire wave, and I had to kill him off and then basically reload back in. So I'm really curious if that's going to happen. The playtest that you see here, it looks like they might have done some adjustment to the Black Knight. So Void Knight's going to go first. I used the ultimate, and he only took off half of the health. The thing with the toning down of the Black Knight is they kind of had to be careful, because those retaliates are based off of his max health. So if they're going to keep it to where he is on the initial, where he is one-shotting everybody, it means it's going to have a giant health pool. If he's only taking off half of our health here on those retaliates, they definitely made him a whole lot weaker. So it's really going to come down to the Black Knight. The rest of this wave is nothing. There's some Extreme X-Men, you see some new Avengers, the Cosmic Ghost Riders, so there are going to be some of the Out of Time members on here as well for synergy. But it's the Black Knight show on this node, so we're going to have to see, and hopefully the Black Knight's not going to be a one-shot every single character for you. Now, as far as the main boss node, this is just going to be a little sneak peek. As far as enemies that's going to be on here, there is going to be a Super Skrull at the start of this. You do see there's the Panda Pole, and there is going to be some Spider Society, Pegasus, Superior 6 members. This node is pretty stacked, and it really doesn't end with anything fantastic. It's basically the start of this. Now, as far as teams, I'm going to start by using the Spider Society team. The main reason for that is because they have the Safeguard, and you're going to see what this Spider Society team can do. We are going to end up wiping, and then I'm going to show you what the other two teams can do. Between the three teams that we currently have, Spider Society definitely appears to be the main team that you're going to want to use until the Orchis team comes out. The Extreme X-Men here that you're seeing, because they don't have that Safeguard, they just got annihilated. The same thing is going to happen for the Hive Mind, so I just wanted to show you this, give you a little sneak peek of what this boss node is going to look like.